But look, what did it take for us to get to the point of an apology? We had to threaten a lawsuit, Jesse. And by the way, we're still entertaining it. We're talking to some of the best lawyers out there that are experts in this. And as you know, these things can be very complicated. There's a lot of facts and circumstances around it. But we're not going to let this go, because you should not be able to smear 5,000 high school and college kids and then just be able to walk away with it.
It is the show that people love to hate.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
They get so much hate watching and hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean, it is a rabies infested hen house.
and just like that, boom, Joe Rogan drops a truth bomb so brutal it practically dislocates Sonny Hostin's jaw on live TV. And if you think that was the headline, think again. Charlie Kirk just cranked the courtroom drama dial to maximum, slapping The View with a jaw-dropping $100 million lawsuit. What just erupted on set?
And the reason they felt they needed to do that, Jesse, is because if they told their audience the truth, that when gas is the most expensive it's been, flights are super expensive, that 5,000 kids decided to spend a weekend in summer traveling across the country to go hear from conservative speakers, maybe the audience of The View would think twice about all of their ideas. That's why they felt so compelled to try to smear our wonderful summit this last weekend.
Yeah, they have nothing else to talk about. Maybe you should get the lawyer that worked on that Covington Catholic school case. What was that, a $200 million?
Pure, unfiltered chaos. Stay tuned for the wild face-off that has celebrities whispering, fans gasping, and viewers rethinking everything. This is one showdown you absolutely cannot afford to miss. Just when you thought daytime TV couldn't get messier, what with the celebrity catfights and cringy political hot takes, bam! The View gets slapped with a jaw-dropping $100 million lawsuit.
The culture shift between right and left authoritarianism, and now people don't recognize that if you just stop looking at it in terms of red and blue, look at the actions, whether it's war, suppression of free speech, pharmacological interventions that are mandatory, whatever it is, that used to all be associated with the authoritative right, the authoritarian right, and now those things are being embraced by the left. And I just think it's just an ideology thing. And I think we get confused and we think we're on the right side. We're on the right side. And if it's our side that's saying this, for sure that's the right thing to do. And no one's critically thinking about this.
Joe Rogan is the gateway drug for young men that thought they were Democrats to become MAGA. Joe Rogan is the bridge. And on that bridge, they'll see RFK. They'll see Elon Musk.
Yep, that just happened. Charlie Kirk, the political wildfire who's been lighting up headlines lately, just tossed the biggest legal grenade daytime TV has ever seen. And spoiler alert, it got nastier than a Thanksgiving dinner where everyone's had too much wine and zero filter. Let's just pause and admire the scale of this chaos. 100 million. That's not your oops, I lost a few Twitter followers type of drama. That's maybe I should start a popcorn empire kind of money.
Charlie Kirk's the founder and CEO of Turning Point USA and the author of the new book, The College Scam. So, Charlie, do you accept The View's apology?
I mean, regardless of whether or not I accept it, the question is, do our students accept it? That's really what's at heart here. They went after our 5,000 students at our event there of high school and college kids. And look, I get attacked all the time. People say false things. I'm a public figure. But when you go after 16 and 17-year-olds that travel from across the country that then have to live for the rest of their life with a shadow over them because someone at ABC says that they might be linked to
To put it in perspective, $100 million could buy you a tiny nation or launch a DIY rocket to Mars. But nope, Charlie Kirk chose to drop that kind of cash on suing The View, the daytime circus known for its whirlwind of hot takes, celeb gossip, and political chatter that sometimes crashes harder than a drunk karaoke performance. So what on earth lit the fuse on this lawsuit? We're not talking about some petty Twitter beef or a meme gone sideways.
Her disgusting, gross elitism and her complete out-of-touch nature with respect to the rest of the world. Sonny Hostin goes on The View and decides now would be a great time to dump all over the so-called uneducated.
What we did not have is white women who voted about 52%, right, for Donald Trump. Uneducated white women, is my understanding. You have Latino men, actually, voting more for him. And you have, and black men was not the story. We're not the story here because they voted almost 80% for the vice president.
Right.
Just because you didn't go to college doesn't mean you're stupid, and it doesn't mean that you don't have wisdom. You can go to college and get a bunch of irrelevant facts about how men can allegedly give birth or whatever they
Nope. This explosion was allegedly triggered by a few wild remarks on The View. The kind of comments that didn't just toe the line. They body-slammed it somewhere between hot take and full-on legal disaster. You know how daytime TV can feel. Like a high school lunch table where everyone's yelling and nobody's listening? Well, this time, all that shouting may have crossed straight into lawsuit territory. Among the hosts, Sunny Hostin stands squarely in the spotlight, or should we say, under the unforgiving legal microscope. She's no stranger to controversy, with a background rooted deep in law and justice. Usually the voice of authority on the panel, this time her legal savvy didn't stop her from becoming the poster child for what critics call reckless commentary. If anyone was expected to bring nuance and careful thought, Sunny was the prime suspect in the crime of careless talk. And now, she's caught right in the crosshairs. But here's where it gets deliciously ironic. Joe Rogan, the podcast king, known for diving headfirst into controversy, jumped into this chaos like a bull in a china shop. Rogan's brutally honest, no-filter style, a cocktail of humor, skepticism, and savage roasting, lit up the internet like wildfire when he zeroed in on this lawsuit.
I have no hate for Joy Behar. If I saw her, I'd give her a hug. I'd probably say the same thing about me if I was her. You're worried about losing your job, and you're worried about podcasts taking over, and who's the source of news, and we said Donald Trump was Hitler, but half the country disagreed with us, and he won, and this is fucking great, and Joe Rogan believes in dragons!
And Sunny Hostin's role in the drama. Instead of dry legalese or snooze-worthy commentary, Rogan unleashed a tidal wave of sarcastic takedowns and razor-sharp mockery. His critique wasn't just about unpacking the lawsuit. It was a full demolition of how The View recklessly bungled this entire mess. Picture a masterclass in public roasting, where every jab cuts through the typical daytime TV fluff and hits, right where it hurts the most. Joe Rogan, always the contrarian, threw his full weight behind Charlie Kirk. This wasn't some casual side-eye. It was a full-on, no-holds-barred endorsement of the lawsuit's whole premise. Rogan painted it as a brutal wake-up call for a media giant that apparently treats serious allegations like a wild shouting contest. If anyone needed a cold splash of reality, it was The View. And Sunny Hostin? Yeah, she became the face of that reckless chaos. So how did Rogan pull off this public humiliation without ever facing off live or yelling across a studio? Easy. He wielded the power of his podcast megaphone, an internet audience hungry for drama, and a razor-sharp sense of humor. Rogan took the facts, cranked up the absurdity to 11, and painted The View as a ticking legal time bomb. A bunch of commentators tossing explosive claims around like confetti at a New Year's bash. Let's break down this epic roast. First, Rogan spotlighted the jaw-dropping size of the lawsuit. $100 million?
But with that show has this very specific ideological bubble in which they operate in. You know, and they always bring on a token conservative woman, and they yell over her and silence her, and you know, they did that with Meghan McCain, and they did that with what is that other blonde woman from Survivor? Do you remember her, Jamie? She was always yelling. I mean, it's just it's a bizarre show. I think the way before you start, I think the way you described it is brilliant, and the way we should all look at it. Of course, you're going to see race. The idea of being colorblind is ridiculous. But treat everybody. They're just human beings.
Yeah.
Everybody's just individuals.
That's not just some petty insult. It's a clear message. Someone's reputation and paycheck are on the line. Yet, The View responded like it was just another Tuesday, like wild accusations with zero consequences are part of the daily grind. Then comes the delicious irony. The View prides itself on serious, informed debate. Yet here they were, allegedly throwing around damaging claims without any solid proof or thoughtful consideration. It's like a doctor diagnosing a patient based entirely on their horoscope. Yeah, that's not exactly inspiring confidence. Sunny Hostin, with all her legal chops, was supposed to be the sane voice, the gatekeeper of reason. But this lawsuit screams her commentary crossed a dangerous line. Joe Rogan didn't hold back, pointing out the brutal irony that the law expert herself might be at the heart of a legal firestorm. It's the kind of ironic twist that screenwriters dream about but rarely hits headlines like this. Joe's sarcasm dripped like venom, roasting The View's reckless bravado and the huge gap between their bombastic claims and the cold, hard facts. He painted a sharp picture of The View as a legal landmine, where every careless word could spark a new lawsuit.
A very strange show, but it's fun to watch. It's just fun to watch them.
It's good entertainment.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly.
Well, they're just, you know, it's interesting because I think Sunny is very intelligent, but she's ideologically captured.
Right.
You know, I think the other ones, there's a couple of the other ones don't have to name any names, are just very dull-minded. But I think Sunny's not one of them. I think she's smart but captured.
Sure, I think she came into it with an agenda.
Of course.
You know,
they do everything with an agenda.
What once looked like fearless journalism now seems more like a lawsuit magnet, attracting trouble with every episode. Here's what makes this so juicy. This lawsuit could shake the very foundation of daytime TV. That wild, anything-goes vibe. That made The View a fan favorite? It might be on the chopping block. Imagine a world where hosts pause before firing off those viral hot takes, knowing the legal bills could pile up faster than the celebrity guest bookings. Rogan's take also highlights a bigger shift in media. Independent platforms and podcasts are now the real power players, calling the shots with fewer filters and a massive reach. The media landscape is changing, and The View might just be the first casualty in this new era. When someone like Joe Rogan publicly backs a lawsuit and rips a major TV show's credibility to shreds, it's a loud warning that the old media giants are starting to lose their grip, or at least facing some serious heat. Rogan's takedown of Sunny Hostin was a masterclass in turning courtroom chaos into a comedy show, all while smashing The View's shaky defense like a wrecking ball through a paper-thin wall. Rogan didn't sneak in quietly. No, he stormed. In like a T-Rex smashing through a china shop, swinging brutal humor and razor-sharp logic like oversized wrecking balls. His points?
I had to read the thing about The View because I just thought it was funny.
What's the
The
View?
only reason I read that about me.
Dragon lover.
The radio,
All right, tell me
Joy
what this is.
Behar was trying to say that I believe in dragons.
Wait, what is this? I just
She
heard
said,
about
I
it.
checked it. I checked it. And the lady goes, did you double-check it? She goes, I checked it. He believes in dragons.
Should be like
you think they lived
Sasquatch,
alongside of
bitch.
people. Like,
Wait,
it was from a wildlife biologist who came on my podcast. It was from Forrest Gallant. Gallant? How do I say his last name? Great guy. I love him.
Yeah.
He's awesome. But
Lucky
he was
and Jamie.
saying...
Absolutely savage and spot on. He drilled into how The View, a show supposed to deliver serious discussion, had morphed into a reckless rumor mill, tossing explosive claims about Charlie Kirk with zero evidence. It was like watching someone juggle flaming swords while blindfolded. Impressive, sure, but you're just waiting for disaster to strike. Rogan didn't stop there. He zeroed in on the glaring contradictions bubbling just beneath the surface. Sunny Hostin, a lawyer by training of all people, should have known better than to lob sweeping, damaging accusations on live TV without solid proof. But apparently, once those cameras roll, common sense takes a long coffee break. Rogan spotlighted this irony like a stand-up comedian calling out a politician caught in a lie. Except this time, it wasn't just hilarious. It was dangerously reckless. Then came the sarcasm, pure gold dripping from Rogan's mouth. He painted The View as a bumbling band of commentators.
This is the most important part. This is right after she was saying, we are run by ABC News. You should trust us, not Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. So she
What?
by saying we should trust them because they're double-checked by ABC News, and then making the stupidest fucking statement. Like, you didn't listen to what I said.
Yeah.
You didn't listen to what the wildlife biologist, and that's only a part of what he said.
I can't
the
believe
other
Joy
part of what he
Behar
said
didn't
was
wait.
there was something before that where he was explaining encounters with giant reptiles. And
I
then
don't
there's
know.
also, listen,
It doesn't make sense to me
There-
that a middle-aged woman could be dumb.
when you're worried about losing your job and
Yeah.
you're worried about podcasts taking over and who's the source of news.
Tossing reckless accusations around like confetti at a wild New Year's bash. Sure, it's fun at first, but pretty soon it's choking everyone, and someone's got to clean up the disaster. But this wasn't just comedy for kicks. Rogan's roast had a sharp edge. By spotlighting the absurdity of the lawsuit and Sunny's careless chatter, he flipped the whole script. Suddenly, the public started asking if Charlie Kirk was the real victim here, caught in a reckless media circus, not the villain in one. If The View was hoping to walk away as the champions of truth and justice, Rogan's viral takedown painted them as nothing more than a ticking lawsuit time bomb. The shift in public opinion was crystal clear. Rogan shoved the spotlight away from the headline-grabbing 100 million figure and turned it to the real question. How responsible are TV hosts when they throw serious claims at public figures? And the cherry on top? A podcast king, often, branded the Wild West of media, calling out a mainstream giant for reckless behavior. That irony? Yeah, it wasn't lost on anyone. Joe Rogan's savage roast wasn't just a viral moment. It was a deafening wake-up call, shaking the very core of daytime TV and public discourse. If this lawsuit sends one crystal-clear message, it's this. Reckless commentary is no longer just a slap on the wrist. The stakes have skyrocketed, and legal consequences are no longer whispers backstage.
Not really their audience. Their audience is a group of people they bring in to watch television shows. You know, I don't know if you've ever seen audiences before for TV shows, but a lot of them are paid. They're paid to be there. So, because they have to guarantee that there's going to be people there. So there's services that you hire. And when a show gets really, really popular, you know, like Letterman or something like that, obviously it has its own fan base.
Right.
And those people will try to get tickets before anybody else does. And in that case, they probably don't need to use a service anymore. They just get actual fans. But arguably, like, the fans, the real fans of The View that are like, oh, these ladies are on point, most of those people can't leave the house. Like, they're probably immobile.
Right.
Hosts who treat explosive accusations like game show catchphrases might soon find themselves cutting million-dollar checks instead of firing off viral tweets. This legal clash could rewrite the rulebook for daytime talk shows everywhere. The era of tossing around wild hot takes without fact-checking? It might be on its last legs. Picture a world where hosts hit pause mid-rant, not for editorial notes, but because their lawyers are breathing down their necks. This lawsuit might become a regulatory wrecking ball, smashing how media outlets juggle controversy, especially when politics and culture mix like gasoline on a match. But here's the real kicker. Joe Rogan's starring role in this media circus signals a seismic shift in power. Independent platforms, fueled by millions of listeners and viewers, aren't the sidelines anymore. They're the main event. When someone like Rogan picks a side, challenges a heavyweight TV show, and publicly dismantles a famous host, it's a game changer. It signals the old media monopoly on influence is cracking, and public opinion is no longer just shaped inside corporate echo chambers. The new media era is here, louder, wilder, and way harder to control. Here's the real kicker. Will this lawsuit backfire spectacularly? Lawsuits of this scale are like playing high-stakes poker. Sometimes you bluff, sometimes you go all in, and sometimes you lose everything. If the View's team overplayed their hand, this could open the floodgates, encouraging others to sue over reckless commentary and sparking a wave of lawsuits that might seriously chill free speech. But flip the script. If Charlie Kirk's case falls apart, it could scare off anyone willing to challenge media giants, letting reckless, damaging talk run wild with zero consequences. No matter what, the battle between free speech and accountability is about to get way more intense. So, what's next in this explosive saga? Legal experts predict fresh filings, counter-lawsuits, surprise witnesses, and explosive documents that could blow the whole case wide open. Social media will be on fire. Independent voices will roar louder. And the fallout might completely reshape how we watch and trust daytime TV. One thing's crystal clear. This isn't some quiet, behind-the-scenes settlement. This is a sprawling, juicy legal war full of twists and turns that will keep everyone glued to their screens. Will The View finally face a brutal lesson in media responsibility? Will Joe Rogan continue to flex his media muscle, setting a new standard for accountability? Or will this all spiral into an epic, rule-rewriting saga that forever changes the world of daytime talk? This legal showdown is far from over, and it could change the way we watch the shows we love to mock. No official word yet from The View or Sunny Hostin. Their silence speaks volumes. Meanwhile, Charlie Kirk's lawsuit is quietly shaking the media landscape. This isn't just about cash. It's about accountability. If public figures and media outlets realize that reckless words could cost them tens of millions, maybe they'll start playing it smarter. Or maybe they'll just get louder, messier, turning every lawsuit into the next blockbuster reality TV drama. So what happens next? Will this lawsuit force The View and others to rethink their whole approach? Will Rogan's savage takedown ignite a wave of fearless commentary from other, independent voices? Whatever the outcome, one thing is undeniable. Daytime talk just got a whole lot more intense, because if Joe Rogan can publicly humiliate a seasoned legal commentator like Sunny Hostin while backing a high-stakes lawsuit, the game has officially changed. And this explosive drama is only getting started. If you thought daytime TV was just polite chit-chat and celebrity gossip, think again. The stakes are sky-high, the punches are brutal, and the courtroom drama might just be the hottest thing on air, even without a single live confrontation. Keep your eyes wide open. This story is far from over. And trust me, you won't want to miss a single savage moment.